then when I found out Cosby was from Philly, I was like, oh, okay, now it makes sense.
I never understood calling it a hero either. Because who's the saving? I mean, it's saving your hunger, but I'm like, why they call it a hero? I don't understand. I don't get it.
I'm saving this.
We're just gonna start this shit live.
The only time I caught the Holy Ghost was when I was in church drinking.
Like, they're two dumb dudes. Welcome to the latest episode of Sarat and Chris's Movie Therapy Podcast.
Oh, so Joe, why are you always at work? You always trying to gotta make that money to go to the strip club?
That too.
The days he's supposed to be off, he picks up like double time and all that. So he's working on his days off and everything. Like, I don't never see this dude.
I get that. When I was working at the ice cream factory, I used to if I wasn't off at a wrestling show or something like that, and I didn't have any prior plans.
Right.
Give me that double time. Give me that triple time. Whatever.
Oh yeah.
And that's what I take. It's like they offer the overtime at the moment. And the only reason why I've been doing it so much is because at a certain point within the fall and winter, there will be no more overtime at all.
Yeah.
So I'm just like grabbing it while it's available because once it's cut, it's done.
I keep telling you need some time off for yourself, though. It's like
your
whole life is at work. Like, you got to have some time to chill and enjoy the fruits
life.
of labor.
Yeah, because I ain't gonna lie. Going to work so much, it starts to play on your mental. And you start seeing the same building for 16 hours a day, you start getting cranky.
Well, that statement right there might lead right into this movie. But before we go into that, welcome to the latest episode of Sarat and Chris's Movie Therapy Podcast. It's your boy Sarat, aka Makazi, and today we're still on that guest host tip because Chris is still incapacitated. So this week, pulled in a couple friends of mine. You might have seen them on my Instagram every so often, or you might see them all over YouTube because they are one of my favorite reaction channels. Struggle Nation, what's going on?
Yeah. Glad to be here.
I'm glad you guys were able to make it. Usually I'm in Philly and I get to see y'all, but now
right.
you guys are in my neck of the woods. Yeah. So before we get started, why don't you introduce yourselves to the crowd?
I'm Joe from Struggle Nation, aka Struggle Soldier.
That's it? Okay, well, all right then.
That's all I got for my intro.
Drew/M Dog from Struggle Nation. We've been doing this since honestly, we started YouTube back in 2008. We've been doing reactions since like 2015, 16. Good lord.
The end of 14.
The end of 14.
The end of 14. Like I always say the beginning of 15, but it was actually the end of 14, late December.
I guess so. Yeah, time just blends together. We've been doing the YouTube thing for a while, been enjoying it. Been through every iteration of YouTube, and just glad to be here.
One of your first videos that I saw, obviously, you guys had your trailer reactions, but y'all had these videos where y'all were swifting.
Yeah. Listen, we was rocking Taylor Swift before she even became the status she is now. Like, we was doing that back in the day, and you know what I mean? Like, listen, we was rocking with it for a minute. We honorary Swifties.
The only thing we haven't done was go to an actual concert.
Right.
Would you guys? If she was coming anywhere close, y'all would be right there.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
Okay, I get that. I appreciate that. Some people, and just because people grow up in the hood or grow up in certain areas, they feel like they can't enjoy certain musical genres or musical acts. And I'm just like, to me, there's no such thing as a guilty pleasure. If you like,
what I've been saying.
Own up to it.
Fun fact about me: growing up, I got into metal and rock before I even got into rap.
Yeah,
because I grew up in a very religious household, so all of that music was like, you're not playing this. So I had to sneak and play things. And the first radio station I found was a local station called Q102, and they played like a mix of things, but a lot of like pop and rock and all that. So I got into like Nirvana and all that. I'm like, damn, this is crazy. So I started doing that before I ended up getting into hip hop. And then when I found hip hop, I'm like, okay, I just like everything. And growing up in certain areas, if you were a certain color, like, you play other music, like, why you listening to that music? And that was like my whole entire childhood. I'm like, I don't believe in barriers when it comes to music. That doesn't make sense. If you limit yourself and you don't experience everything, it doesn't make sense to me. So
we grew up the same as far as what he just said. That's why we gelled together so well when we first met in 2008. That's why we gelled together so well, because I'm from the suburbs. I grew up in the suburbs, Pennsauken, New Jersey, when Pennsauken was still the most beautiful place to me. So like my choice in music, it started out with like your greatest hits on MTV. Like rap came later in my life. So some people looked at me like, yo, why are you choosing to blast what's her name, Michelle Branch? Like it sounds weird, to somebody looking at you. Do you see this? But yeah, that's how it is.
Listen, going to the club, me and him would roll the windows down and play Britney Spears at like the max volume, just because we knew we would get looks, and we didn't care because I'm like, yeah, go ahead. I got this. This is my jam right here.
And I had to
the end of the world. I remember like
to the end of the world. And mind
like,
you, not
be doing this. Yeah, it was
not even trying to profile ourselves or sound like those
yeah.
type of dudes, but I had what someone would consider a Philadelphia hood vehicle. I had a Dodge Charger with a Hemi. And I had the windows tinted, and it would look so funny because people would pull up next to us, and we're playing Britney Spears.
Imagine Britney Spears coming out of a song of a car like that. That's what we did, but we didn't care. Like we like what we like, and we're proud of it.
Bro, when I used to work at the ice cream factory, we had a fitness center there, and I used to work overnights. Me and Chris, my co-host, and we'd go there, we'd get our workout in, and we just always bring in different music, and like people would walk into the gym and hear what we playing, and they'd just give us a look. Because we'd be like, yo, y'all by yourselves throwing all this iron around. Y'all got Leona Lewis and James Blunt going on. We just like, we like the music. And we're going to listen to what we listen to.
Right.
Shit.
You know?
You got to do your thing. You got to like what you like and be proud of it. And we definitely are proud of it.
Okay, well, speaking of liking what you like, this movie that you selected for us to watch, I'm curious to see if you liked it, because I might be on the fence, but I'm curious to hear what your take is. But usually either Chris or I pick a movie, but because you guys are the guest hosts, it fell on y'all to pick the movie for this week. So why don't you let the people know what movie we watched?
Well, first of all, it was stressful because I had to pick it the last moment. Like, I got to find a movie we haven't seen, because the first one I picked, he saw, so we had to find another one. So I saw the description of this movie named Pandorum, and I'm like, okay, I like the setup of that. It reminds me of an old movie I like called Event Horizon. So I'm like, okay, let me pick this joint and see how we feel about it.
See, I like when movies are selected like that. To me, that's part of the fun of the podcast. So when me and Chris first started this pod, our bread and butter was those movies that you see, in streaming that you're like, yo, who made this?
Right.
Come out. The ones that they in the middle of the section at the video store, no one know about. And to this day, one of my favorite movies that we did on the pod was Wolf Cop. I don't know if y'all ever heard of that.
No, I never heard of that. I'll watch it though.
I never heard of Wolf Cop a day in my life, but I could just imagine what the hell it's about.
Bro, it's first of all, it's definitely like, it's not even a B movie. It's like a D movie, but it's about a dude that he's a cop and then becomes a werewolf. And, at some point he's, having sex with a girl in the jail cell while he's a werewolf.
Damn.
Before he goes to fight crime, he turns his cop car into like the Wolfmobile.
Hell yeah.
Bro, but there's like 5 parts to it.
What?
Yeah. It's on Hulu. If you look on Hulu, you'll find it. Look at Wolf Cop.
That reminds me of this movie I've always wanted to see, and that's just because the title and the movie cover. It's called Velocipaster.
You took it from me.
It sounds so ridiculous, and if you look at the cover art, you're like, yo, what the hell? But I want to see this movie so bad because I'm like, yo, it's got it. They know what they're doing. It's Velocipaster. Like, it's so crazy. Like, yeah, you know what I mean? That kind of reaction. That's what you get just even hearing the name. I want to watch this movie. I should have picked that one.
Do you know how close I was 2 seconds away from saying that shit because of what you just named?
Yeah.
You said Wolf Cop.
Yeah, that's what put that in my head. Like,
bro,
yeah.
my brother-in-law used to love movies like that. I'm like, Joshua, what do you want to watch today? He'd be like, oh, can we watch Piranaconda? I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What? Who combined?
Yo.
Who combined that shit?
Listen, somebody had a blunt and be like, yo, I want to make this movie. It's to sound crazy. Like, yeah, go ahead and make it.
But it's like when you have like creepy crawlers, but you take 2 of the molds and you put the 2 different molds together. Like, I'm about to make the next.
Yeah, like you in the lab, you just doing science.
Yeah,
like, that's what you got to do. Like I want to watch that movie one day.
Yeah. All right, so the movie is Pandorum, and off rip, did you guys like the movie?
I did. Yeah,
I liked it. I liked it.
I actually
I liked it.
I can get why people would have an issue with it. I mean, it's from back in 2009, so some things are a little rough. But like the general premise of the movie and what it does, like I actually liked it.
Okay, so I guess I'm neither here nor there against it. I just think maybe this movie was the epitome of the phrase "doing too much."
Okay.
Shit,
I felt like there was a lot going on in here where it was so like condensed and so dense that I was like, man, if they had just gotten rid of maybe a couple of these plot points and just saved it to like, all right, these guys are on a ship and some shit's trying to get them. All right, maybe I would have went with that. But then you got like You're talking about the actual what is Pandorum, and then you got these finding random people that are still alive. I don't know. Why don't you tell them what the movie's about?
All right, so Pandorum in general is this whole thing where like you're in cryo sleep for a certain amount of time, and then you're on the ship, and then you start losing your mind. And they talked about a case where that happened, where dude lost his mind and just ejected thousands of people in space to die. That alone, I'm like, yo, that's crazy, because I already have a fear of space, and my brain tells me they're trying to go to Mars. Now, that's what's going to happen to me if I go up there. So I'm already scared of that. So I love movies like this because like it just enhances that fear and solidifies it. So it's about these people that wake up. They don't know where they are. They don't know what's going on. They lost their memory because it takes a while for the memory to catch back up to them. So you're opening a movie up like this where a dude gets out of cryo sleep or whatever it's called, and then he's looking around. He doesn't even know his name. He finds the thing. Okay, that's my name. And they got to piece this together and see what exactly is going on and why they're in the situation they're in. And I like movies like that because like you get along for the ride. I do agree that they might have done a little too much, but like to me that wasn't really a bad thing. It's just like it's just more things happening and just making the situation like crazier than it initially was. But it's kind of like a horror mystery, almost like some psychological horror type stuff where they're in the situation, you don't know why, they don't know why, and they got to figure it out.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, I feel like because I felt like they did so much that I felt like I wasn't able to really build a rapport or a relationship with the characters. I felt like I was watching a lot of people. I didn't really feel or care whether these characters lived or died. The dude was searching for his wife, and I didn't really get much context behind like their relationship. So I don't really give a shit whether you find your wife. Sorry,
right? Because you didn't have that emotional attachment to his story, himself. I feel you. Movies like that make you look like, oh shit.
I get it.
Okay, before we even go into this, per usual on the pod, I like to always ask everyone on here, what you drinking? I mean, I see a water bottle in Joe's hand.
We'll see. Today we like to take that extra step and get that nice Deer Park. You know what I mean? Stay hydrated. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? I don't want to get too fancy, but I'm like I got to spend a little bit of money today. So you know what I mean?
I got some water myself too in the old shaker, but hold on. I do have something that y'all might be familiar with. And that is a little Wawa coffee.
Hey, listen. I moved to LA for like a couple years. Nobody knew what a Wawa was. And when I said the word, they're like, what? Wawa? That sounds stupid. Like, and that was so stressful because I'm like, y'all don't have a Wawa equivalent out here. So I didn't know what to do. Like, they have like 5 stores that are, each store might be a piece of Wawa. Wawa is like 20 stores in one.
Yeah.
So I feel bad for places that don't have that because
yes,
Wawa is a national treasure. And if people don't know what I'm talking about, then you got to travel to a state that got it. Because
did he know what a hoagie was?
Yeah, man, y'all and hoagies, man. Y'all can't be. Listen,
I mean, hey,
in Springfield, we call them grinders.
What? No, man.
Grinders.
Listen,
the grinders.
Different states have some weird names for it. Like I can guess calling it a sub because it's shaped like a submarine.
Like a sub, but a grinder.
Sub.
So then, what the hell is a hoagie? What is a hoagie?
We don't know. We don't know. We just grew up with it, so it just makes sense.
Did you just go off on a tangent about you could see why it's called a sub because it's shaped this way, but then you can't explain why it's a hoagie?
Sandwich at first. That was the original name for it. So I get why they call it a sub. Plus, it's shaped like a sub. What's a grinder?
Okay. So I'll put you on this. So a grinder. So those sandwiches were usually made back in the day for blue collar workers that were going out and doing like hard labored work. Grinders. So it was grinder in going towards the people that went out and did those kind of hard jobs.
So they need the sandwich.
I can get calling a person that, but a sandwich though?
Come on, bro. Come on.
That's like New York with the chopped cheese. I'm like, yo, why y'all doing this?
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the, okay. So when I used to watch Cosby Show, Cosby used to call that. He used to call it a hoagie all the time. But I got cousins that live in Brooklyn. They always call it a hero. So it always confused me when I was watching the show. Shit. And then when I found out Cosby was from Philly, I was like, oh, okay, now it makes sense.
I never understood calling it a hero either. Because who's it saving? I mean, it's saving your hunger, but I'm like, why they call it a hero? I don't understand. I don't get it.
I'm saving this. You see, a hero. A grinder, a hero.
Yeah. I mean, every state has different names for stuff. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just like a regional thing. it's kind of hard to wrap your head around. And I don't know why it's called a hoagie. That doesn't make sense. But, you know, we grew up with it. So I'm like, that's what I rock with. And that's what it is to me.
Listen, a Wawa meatball sandwich is like the best sandwich out there.
Amen.
Easily. I tell when people come down, because in Florida, we got Wawa, we got Racetrack. If you go up north towards where you guys are, it's like, you know, your Wawas and your Sheets. And in the Northeast, you might have one or two Cumberland Farms, but by and large, they don't have
that one right there. What you said, Cumberland Farms?
Yeah, Cumberland Farms.
I think what's the one that's I think they have those in Maryland as well.
They do? I never heard of that.
I think going towards Ocean City, Maryland, I think they have a Cumberland Farms on each side of the road.
No, I know they got. I know in Maryland they got Royal Farms.
Oh God, I'm all the way off. It's Royal Farms.
What are these? Like, are they like?
So like if me and you drive to Ocean City, if we drive to Ocean City, Maryland, once we pass a certain point in Delaware, and probably 40 minutes past Delaware, you'll start to see Royal Farm.
Yeah,
Royal Farm. The same way you'll see a lot of 7-Elevens in Philly.
So a Royal Farm is like a 7-Eleven.
A high-tech one.
Yeah,
upper class 7-Eleven.
It's closer to a Wawa than a 7-Eleven.
Oh, okay. So a Japanese 7-Eleven.
I don't know. Them Japanese 7-Elevens got some good snacks. Like,
yo, they're. I feel bad even calling the 7-Eleven because I walked into a 7-Eleven when I was both in Tokyo and in Osaka, and when I tell you the quality of the food is like restaurant level. Yeah, I almost don't want to call it a 7-Eleven. Like it's so higher class. It's crazy.
See, that's why I need to go to Japan.
It's crazy.
I can't go to Japan because I would literally eat ramen all day, every day.
That's what I did. Like, listen. I had a routine, and I live streamed the whole thing because I was doing IRL streams. I would wake up, I would walk to the arcade because we don't have arcades here. So I'm like, there's an arcade. I'm starting my morning off like that every single day. I woke up, went to the arcade, went to the ramen shop because they got a little kiosk where you could like custom make your ramen. You just hit the little buttons and all that, and they would make it and bring it out to you. And it was like 10 out of 10 every single time. Yo. Listen, every day I had ramen. Like we would go to the club and leave the club and then go to the ramen shop because ramen shops are open like almost 24 hours. It was amazing.
That's the life.
It was amazing.
All right, so getting back to this movie, I have a question. Right. I have a question about this movie. All right, so this movie opened up with like a text crawl, not really a text crawl, but like the synopsis in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
And that usually only ever happens in like fantasy movies and sci-fi. Like, why? Why don't they adopt that for like other movies? You think like what if Baby Boy opened up with like a text crawl, right?
Because I think some people are lazy and don't want to read. Like, and when you see all that text, they go, oh God, I want to do this, and they skip over it, and then they miss plot points. You know what I mean? I think people are too lazy to really appreciate the text crawl.
Yeah.
So I don't think they do it a lot because they know like this TikTok generation doesn't want to read, and they don't want to spend too much time on things and all that. So it would be nice because it fills in a lot of blanks, and once you read that, you're properly prepared for the movie. But you know, it's not for everybody.
Yeah. All right. So do you guys rate Pandorum like? On a scale? Well, I don't know what your favorite sci-fi little operas like this or these sci-fi horror movies are. Clearly, they were trying to go for kind of an alien feel at first.
Yeah.
Where would you place Pandorum in the scheme of your favorite like sci-fi movies? Because for me, it's middle to lower, just because I think I have this thing with sci-fi movies like this where I feel like if you're introducing a whole new world, the storyline itself has to be simple. So that way you can kind of take in the world and really see what's out there. Whereas if you're going with a complex storyline, then usually their world is a little more familiar to our eyes. So for instance, for something that's out there versus where with world building with a simple story is like Avatar. So you're building a whole new world, whole new ideas and stuff like that, but you give them a story like Pocahontas, so it's easier to fall in line with what the story is giving you. But then on the flip side, you get Inception, where the concept is so crazy that you put it into like a familiar, city streets, stuff that you've seen before, so you don't lose track.
Right.
I mean, that's like, so for me, this movie kind of falls into the middle to low because it kind of tries to build a world and give you a lot, and so to me, I get lost.
Okay, I see what he's saying. Like as far as that, so when if I had to rate it or if I had to put it in, like you said, it gave me the alien feel as well. But I also, what I took from this because I enjoy the video game Dead Space so much, the small amount of space they had to work with on that ship made me rate the movie into the middle of my liking.
Yeah.
As in, if I had to make a list, it'd be like probably top 10 for me. Because I panic in small spaces.
Oh yeah.
And I panic in an environment where there's I only have but so many places to choose to run to. So to me, this movie was actually insane for personal fear.
Yeah.
Like personally, you can't put me on a ship and I can't go outside.
Yeah.
If I can't go outside and just run away from the problems that were in this movie, I guess mentally it made me go crazy.
Yeah.
So I rated pretty.
So you wouldn't have an issue on like a cruise ship, would you? Because you can go outside if you start getting claustrophobic in the ship.
That's the crazy part. I can go outside, but then I'm gonna still start to think to myself, damn, I can't get off this boat either way.
Yeah. Like me, I have motion sickness, so I know on a cruise ship that'll get me. I can't swim, so if anything happens, I jump off, I'm dying. So it's like it's all bad for me either way. There's nothing I can do. I'm trapped. It's like a floating coffin for me.
So this movie, when we watched this movie, there was a scene in this movie where claustrophobia played a part in both of our minds during the movie.
Or was it when he was in the fucking
tunnels? That killed me. That killed me. Because like he's trying to move. There's barely any space. And then when he falls and he's upside down, I almost panicked. Because like I started hyperventilating because like that overactive imagination. I'm like, that'd be one of the worst ways to get stuck. Like that's terrible. And seeing that, I'm like, I could not do it. That killed me.
You ever see those videos about those guys going they go spelunking?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, they're crawling through these things, trying to fit through. And then if you take the wrong turn,
you're stuck.
You can't back up.
You're stuck.
That's terrible to me. That is terrible to me. Like I was scrolling on Instagram the other day, and I saw this thing where this dude at work fell behind a refrigerator.
Yeah.
And he died. He was there for 10 years before they found him.
Upside down.
And I'm looking like, Jesus, like that's just terrible.
There was one. I think I was listening to some maybe true crime podcast or some shit, but some dude, it was in high school, and he got like stuck between the wrestling mats. Like they were fucking around doing something, and he fell in between the wrestling mats, and like no one knew he was there. And he ended up dying.
See,
those mats are large.
I hate stuff like that, man.
The thing is they couldn't tell if he was doing something and fell in there or he was put in there.
Right.
I can't know.
Was this the guy whose organs were removed when they found him?
I don't know.
What?
That sounds.
Yeah, because a similar story where they found hey, that's a rabbit hole we ain't gonna go down.
It escalates. Like, I mean, it's so easy.
That's what left my bad. Kazi said, what? He said, I said wrestling match, bro.
Well,
my bad.
Getting back to the movie, because I'm starting to get a little panicked now.
No, but there was some organs getting removed.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking of, like, did y'all find it odd that the one black dude was the cannibal?
Nah, because there's a section of Philly called Kensington, and we see people like that all the time there. I'm like, that'd be
Look just like that, dressed like that, same grease marks on the face. Yeah.
Like, I mean, listen, black people are survivors, so I mean, it makes sense that if he's stuck there, I mean, he thought he
was Spanish.
He black.
I'm pretty sure he was black.
Yeah, he gonna know how to survive. So best believe, like he was alive that long for a reason.
But I loved his character. Like when he was introduced, when that shit flipped, and he was like, "Yo, this ain't personal, but I'm about to cook y'all."
Yeah. I like that. He's like, this is business. I gotta survive.
Yeah.
You know,
so like, imagine somebody telling you that, like, this ain't personal, but
and then stab the chick and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, damn. Like, where I would rank this is. So here's the thing. I found a lot more context about this movie because my editor Drax, he's seen this movie. It's one of his favorite sci-fi movies. He was letting me know some stuff. There's a movie called Elysium that I've seen with Matt Damon.
Yeah.
That's actually a prequel to this, and I didn't know that.
Whoa, what? Really?
Yeah.
Elysium was mentioned in this movie.
Yeah,
they used the word Elysium, but I was like, no.
So I had no idea, but Elysium is, and it shows them in cities and all that, and like it's the prequel to this before they had to leave and everything like that. So finding out the movie, this movie, obviously the budget wasn't crazy, but like it has a cult following because like they were able to make this on such little money, and it's like showing the classes how to like do sci-fi on a small budget. So it's a lot of things like that. Plus, I just like what they did and the kind of you don't know what's going on and you got to figure it out along with the characters type stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's not perfect. Like, you know, a lot of things are, you know, you could tell the budget was smaller. You look at the enemy design and all that, you know, there's nothing crazy, nothing to write home about. But you know what I mean? They did the best with what they had to work with, and it works for me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
The enemy looked like if the orcs from Lord of the Rings were mixed with the fucking the Atlantis people from with Namor.
Yeah. And they run it, they slashing and all that, they ripping guts out and all that in like 2 seconds. I mean, like some characters show up, they don't even last for a minute before they get got.
Norman Reedus. Oh man,
dude, it took me a second. I was like, "Is that Norman Reedus?"
Yeah, for 2 seconds.
Yeah,
and then they string them up and.
But I like that. I like when you got a popular actor that shows up in a story like this. Yeah, a small role, like Sarah Michelle Gellar in Scream.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm sorry, not Sarah Michelle Gellar. Drew Barrymore.
Oh, right.
Scream.
And back when Steven Seagal actually, you know, was a was a good actor. Jesus Christ. Like Executive Decision. He was in that movie for like 2 seconds and then died, and it shocked everybody. Like, well, what? Because he was a big name at the time. Yeah. I like stuff like that.
You were also right about Sarah Michelle Gellar though, because when she was in Scream Part 2, she didn't last that long either, and she was a major name.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Like that was a quick shift.
Yeah.
So you know, in this movie, when I was watching it, it felt like you could have, and if you were to turn this movie into like a television show, it felt like you could have fit 3 seasons worth of storyline into this movie. Like the first half would be like, you know, you think, you know, these guys are just by themselves out here in this spaceship trying to figure out what's going on, whatever. Oh, there's some monsters on here. And then, you know, by the end of it, you realize, oh no, there's actually more people alive here than we thought. Right. Next season, it's that. And then you start figuring out, okay, what's, you know, why they're there in the first place. Yeah. I mean, they threw in at the end of the movie that, oh, this ship was actually crashed here the whole time.
Yeah. Whole time.
I was like, why are you bringing up this whole new thing right now?
Yeah. But see, I like that though, because like you never saw that coming. The whole entire time you think it's floating in space and all that. And then when she opens the thing and you can't see nothing, like, wait, what's going on? It's like, I like that plot twist type stuff. Because like this whole entire time you think they're off course. You don't know what's going on. Dude is losing his mind the whole entire time, but you don't find out to the end. And then they find out they've been on the planet the whole entire time. That's almost some Planet of the Apes type stuff.
All like, they do was walk outside.
They had no idea. Like, I like that kind of shit.
Yeah, I like it, but it felt like because there was so much more before that I felt like they could have explored a little more.
True.
That when they introduced that, I was like, oh, another thing that like I kind of want them to expand on. Yeah. Then it just didn't have time to.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where this was supposed to have like a couple more movies, but I think at some point in time, either maybe they found out it was only going to be one or whatever. So maybe that's why they condensed everything into that, because like people are still trying to like do petitions for it to get a sequel still to this day. And I didn't know that until like yesterday. I'm like, damn, there's all this lore around the movie that I didn't even know. But like they did put a lot of stuff in this, but for me, it didn't really detract from anything. Like I kind of liked how you can really predict what was going to happen, because there was something new going on. Like I didn't know. Like when you found out there was like 1,000 other people on the ship in the pods, like I had no idea. They wake the other dude up. He wakes up and gets fucked up. Like I felt so bad for him. He opened his eyes like, oh, okay, what's going on? Like that. Yeah, that was into getting mollywopped. That's crazy, man.
That was one of the vicious parts of that movie.
He couldn't even wake up properly.
That movie didn't give a fuck about you falling in love with any character.
Yeah.
It just said, look, don't get used to anybody. Don't start to like anybody.
Yeah.
Like. I like that there was a lot in this, because you know maybe if it was like, you know, like a bigger budget movie, then you know things would have been differently. But you know they had what they had to work with, so they made it work, and you got all this stuff happening on the ship, because it was a big ass ship. Like I didn't even know how big that was until, you know what I mean.
You go into that room and you got all them pods.
Yeah.
This is the rest of humanity right here.
For real, all in one ship. I'm like, yo, this is great. It's like almost like some Matrix type.
The ship was a city in itself.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, let's see what happens. And then you got the all these enemies where you're finding out what happened to them, and some crazy dude was experimenting and turning people into that. I'm like, yo, it was twists and turns like around every corner, and I like that.
Did y'all find it odd that ship was that big, but it crashed that close to shore and ain't none of it popped out of the water, except for that little one spot.
I mean, well, that tells me that the water was deep as fuck. Like it's some deep ass water because you saw how far they were shooting out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like it's an alien play. You got to, you know what I mean?
When they looked up and saw X-ray fish,
you gotta let it rock sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's a whole different planet. So we don't know. You know what I mean?
And honestly, Makazi, can I be real with you? The movie might not have been the best. I guess that we really appreciated the film for what it was due to us not really having the best luck this year with going to the theater. Okay. So we tend to find the good in a lot of movies now because we've seen some bull.
Yeah.
We've seen some crap this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We won't name those movies. This ain't the right time for that.
No, The Crow. We just walked out of The Crow, and The Crow was one of the worst movies I've seen.
Hey, first of all, I haven't seen it yet, and I'm very excited to see it. So y'all better watch what you say. Hold on.
So at the end when Mickey Mouse show up, he ruined the whole movie for me.
Yeah, it was a Disney joint. It was a Disney joint.
Go watch it. But yeah,
I might have to find some pictures of me dressed up as the Crow for Halloween when I was little. So
you actually did that?
Oh,
that was a good Crow though, so that's fine.
But still, like listen, I watched The Crow, The City of Angels, Salvation, Wicked Prayer with Edward Furlong for some goddamn reason.
Yeah, I just heard about that today. I didn't even know, so we got to watch the rest
for some goddamn reason.
Bro, fucking the television show Stairway to Heaven with Mark Dacascos. Like I'm deep in the Crow stuff. So when I saw this, I was just happy they were doing another Crow story. Don't use the Eric Draven name, but if they change it enough, it looks like a completely different new movie to me. So I'm like,
yeah. So you gotta watch and we gotta talk about it after you see it.
Okay, all right.
And we'll
so I mean, speaking of characters, what do you think about the characters in this movie? Like, what did you think of the cast? Basically,
I thought the cast was crazy because I didn't know who was gonna be in this, and then when people started popping, I'm like, oh, that was wild.
I mean,
the cast was great.
Did y'all like Ben Foster as the lead?
I did.
Yeah.
What about you?
I loved him. He fit what that person needed to be to me. Like he played the part very well. I was cool with him being a lead, but I was very, very, I was highly interested in Dennis Quaid's character because he started to snap.
Yeah.
Towards and I was like, hold up, you were talking to your younger self the whole time? Even the dude that played the younger version, I'm a fan of him as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love the cast, bro. I literally did like the cast of this movie.
Yeah, when everybody started showing up, I'm like, oh, they got some names in here.
Yeah,
Ben Foster, Dennis Quaid, Auntie
Norman Reedus.
Yeah, Norman Reedus. Auntie, I forget her last name, but she played Feora in Man of Steel.
That was her.
Yeah,
I knew who she was, but I didn't put two and two together. Okay.
Yeah, Kung Lee, who played Law in the Tekken movie.
Oh shit.
Yeah, he's been an MMA fighter, but he was in that. He was in Bodyguards and Assassins with Donnie Yen. And yeah, there was a bunch of people that showed up in here that I didn't expect. So that's why I was like, oh shit! Like the cast list is great. The effects were great. I mean, again, the villain design, but by and large, I thought that the sets and all that stuff was really good. So I was like, man, this is actually put together very well. For me, it didn't develop the way I hoped. I guess I expected to be able to build a relationship a little more, and I think maybe because there wasn't enough quiet parts. I think in a movie like this, you gotta have some quiet parts where you kind of really delve into the psyche of a person. Because if you can tell that they're going crazy, you got Dennis Quaid in a room by himself trying to talk to a handset, and I felt like he was going crazy because the story said he had to go crazy, but I didn't really feel him going crazy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't feel that build up towards him just spiraling.
Yeah.
There was a part of me that almost wishes they were the only two like people in this movie, because I think if they would have did that and they were trying to figure out what's going on and they're going out throughout the whole ship and there's enemies but they don't run into any more survivors, I think even that would have been crazier, because like there's a certain level of panic that they were feeling and by proxy I was feeling, because I didn't know what the hell was going on. Like he's crawling through the crawl space, he's seeing dead bodies, so something happened, so you don't know what is going on. He's trying to piece this together. So like, I mean, I think if they even went that route, it'd have been dope.
Shit, I kind of felt like it was going that route when the movie first started. I said, "Oh shit, it's going to be them. It's going to be them too, trying to figure out this whole mess." That's what I thought. But then I started to see this person show. I said, "That's cool too." But I really did think it was going to be those two, which made it a little bit more scary to be like, "Oh, how do you do this?"
Right.
Well, it's almost like in Walking Dead, where like you just think it's a small community of people.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
then all of a sudden you realize, oh, there's so much more people alive than we thought. It's just like, depending on how you feel about that, the original, how it started, it's either good or bad. Because like sometimes I want to see, just a an army of two taking on all these, aliens and trying to figure it out. But when you got, like all these people still alive and supposedly, each person doesn't remember anything, but then they all get their memory just in time to do certain. I don't know. It was just one of those things where it's like there was a lot of convenience in it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I've gotten used to being okay with, because convenience happens a lot in film, and it used to bother me before, but then I'm like, if I don't become okay with this, I'm just gonna hate a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like you got to kind of like turn your brain off for certain aspects of it and just rock with it, because you know what I mean, it's fantasy, so things happen, so I just let things play out the way they're gonna play out.
Yeah, because I mean, if you let convenience bother you, then you might have hated Captain America picking up the hammer for the first time, because you're like, you really, all these motherfuckers is coming down on Wakanda and he didn't think, oh yeah, I need the hammer then.
Oh, okay.
So
I mean, they see that right there doesn't, because like the nerd in me is gonna try to explain that stuff. he's been worthy the whole entire time, because you know what I mean, because he tried to lift it before and it moved a little bit and Thor was a little shook, but they teased it back then, and when he finally does grab it, that's the payoff for that moment you saw all the way back when.
No, I get that, but you don't think in Infinity War, when Thanos comes down and starts murking everyone, everybody's dying, he didn't think he might need it then? I
mean, the thought didn't cross. It's like, I get it.
I get it, because it's like
I'm about to write a whole essay, like.
But I love that moment. I jumped out my seat.
Right.
I get it. I understand.
I kind of wish you could have saw us when he lifted that hammer.
Yo, I almost shot to the top of the movie theater. I was so.
You were that black guy in the theater that's yelling.
Yes, but I wasn't the only one. So I wasn't one random dude like, yo, y'all was crazy. Like everybody was the same. We high-fiving and all that. Like, yeah, it was wild.
Yeah. Oh man, what would you do if you were stuck in space? Like, say you stuck in space and you the only one. Like, what's going through your mind in that moment?
Death.
Die. I would die. Like I said it so many times when we were watching that movie. I would die. There's no way out of this for me. Like I'm already scared of space. I'll die from some dumb shit. Like I vent open and burn my face or something like that. Like I have survival instincts, but in a situation like that, I don't know what I would do. Like I have no idea. Like dealing with that, I wake up, I don't know where I am. I'm dying. Like I have no faith in myself in that kind of situation.
I don't think I ever thought in my life I would hear a black dude say, "I'm scared of space."
Yeah,
I don't think that's just a phrase I never thought that never comes out of a black dude.
I've been saying this since I was a little kid. I would never go to space. People used to make fun of like, you think you can go to space? Like, but we are going. We're heading in that direction now. I'm like, I am terrified of space. Space is terrifying. You can't breathe. You're floating forever. There's so much of it we don't know. Black holes are still, we don't know what's going on. I believe there's portals to other dimensions. Like I can do a whole podcast based on that. Space is terrifying. Man, it's terrifying.
Because you've watched enough horror films within your lifetime. Black people in general, we as a culture, we are afraid of the unknown. Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah.
So in outer space, when you can't calculate this, you can't have a description for this.
You can't breathe.
You can't breathe. If I open this door, I'm done. In that situation, is what he said. I would panic to death.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't know what to do. Yep. This ship, I don't know how to control this ship. I hear monsters in the walls. There you go. I might have a heart attack hearing them. That's a messed up position to be in. Look at that movie again, and you'll see how messed up that whole situation is. You wake up out of, what was it called? Hypersleep?
Yeah.
You wake up from that, right? Your memory is gone. Your memory is coming back at a certain percentage per hour. Now you're still on this ship, not knowing where you are, if you landed, or if you're just gliding through space.
And there's a condition that makes you lose your shit. and there's that too. It's not just the ship. You will lose your mind if the conditions are a certain way. You will lose your damn mind. I'm gonna be the first one going crazy. I'm walking around the ship, talking to myself, answering both sides of the conversation.
Yeah, I'd be mad as shit stuck. I'd be mad as shit stuck up there with him.
I'm done.
Stuck up there with him. I'd be mad as shit. As soon as he starts talking to himself, that's it.
I'm done.
I don't know, man. I've gone camping enough to think like I might be able to survive. I might be able to put some shit together. You know, I built a fort out of some old
We
chairs.
have the MacGyver moments in our minds, but then when we're actually in it and you're in space, that ain't gonna work, man. I'm telling you, that's not gonna work.
You go camping?
Yeah, of course I go camping. I love that shit. Sleep on
that's,
the ground.
that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I don't have it in me, but because you do go camping, I feel as though you would survive in space because your level of fear isn't the same as mine.
Yeah,
I'm afraid of going camping because I have a major fear of snakes, foxes,
I'm scared of
bears,
trees,
trees.
all of that.
Oh,
I don't like the
foxes.
forest.
Scared of foxes?
Bro, yes.
I mean,
Oh.
dude, listen, foxes are like those are the I feel like those are whimsical characters in the woods.
In the Disney movies,
Yeah, in stories, in
stories,
in lore and all that, but in reality,
yeah, my
I don't
mom
know.
has 6 of them that lives on the side of her house. I've seen 2 of them grab kittens. I'm done. Fox is scared of shit. So look, you go camping, and that's why I think you would survive in that movie, and I think you would survive in space.
Well, no, see, I'm out in the wilderness a lot. I go to the springs. I go, you know, I've seen snakes and otters and gators while I'm paddleboarding. I've gone to the golf course and had like gators on the green while I'm playing. So like,
See, hell no, I can't do any of that. As soon as I see I'm going home, the trip is canceled. I'm done. It's over. I don't care who get mad at me. I'm going home.
So you just start
I wouldn't support. I'm scared of space. I'm scared of the ocean. 2 things that we don't know enough about. Ocean is deeper than people think. There's still places in the ocean people haven't even been because it'll crush you. It will kill you. Space the same way.
yeah, but so in deep ocean, like you ain't going in the water either.
No,
Come on.
no, I can't swim. So what am I gonna be doing there? I should be looking around like it's fucked up.
I think if you throw a fine ass female in the middle of it, I think it'll push him.
It's not.
I
This
think
is
it'll
not
push him.
Baywatch. I'm not dying for that. Like there's nothing I can do with that.
Yeah,
You
you're gonna be like,
Karen.
Drew gonna be like, we going on vacation. Let's go to the subway, and then that's the only place he saw.
Only place.
That's it, man.
Yes.
That's it. I'm trying to stay alive.
Oh shit! All right, so there's one moment in this movie that I had an audible chuckle out, and I'm curious to see what y'all thought. So when I don't know his name in there, but you know, Kung Lee, the farmer, for some reason, who was dressed like he was in an Under Armour commercial, he was running away, and then the leader of the fucking the villains jumped at him, and they was about to start fighting, and this man took the staff and tossed it at him like, "Yo, let's go."
That was a sign of respect for me. I'm like, yo, look, I'm trying to scrap. Let's scrap. Like, what's up?
We actually we went crazy for that scene because it was so gangster. It was like
I was weird until you started biting them. I'm like, I was showing you respect, and then you doing some shit like that.
I don't know. When I saw that, I was just like, I don't know why. I just felt like, you know, hey, when we make this movie, let's make some cool shit. But not let's make some shit that makes sense.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's either you're barbaric or you're not.
To me, like, because I overanalyze things. I'm like, that was a sign of respect. It's like, yo, I know you got it. So like, here's his weapon. It reminded me of
Predator.
Jason versus Julius on the roof, and Jason takes Manhattan. As they start scrapping, he's the only person Jason ever showed respect to. Is like, let me see what you got. So he started, you know what I mean, doing this for like an hour, and then when he get tired, he's like, all right, take your best shot, and that's when Jason kills him. Like Jason just waits and lets him, like, you know, do what he can do. Like, let me see what you got. It's a sign of respect, and that's how I kind of saw this. Yeah, it's ridiculous, but at that point, like, it's just kind of hype to see.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but these are the moments that I see when in a movie like this, where in this movie, okay, so when you first sent me the cover art or the poster art, I looked at it and I expected a horror movie. I thought it was going to be something about some viruses and pandemics.
Yeah, the post does kind of look like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So then when I started watching, I was like, okay, it's not that, but I still got that horror feel. And then by the end, it was an action movie. And I was like, you know, I guess if I'm expecting something like dark and scary, and then it comes to, you know, fucking that, I'm like, okay, I'm kind of disappointed that it's not, you know, what I expected. Do it. I enjoy it. Yes. But I'm just like, they could have did that in a different way that still lived up to the initial expectation.
Yeah, it could have been more psychological horror. Yeah,
maybe that's on me, because initially you didn't see these monsters throughout. They were going in and out of shadows. Yeah, you know, you could see them, you could hear them, and you take off running before you could see them. But then the minute you saw them, then you started seeing them everywhere, and it's like, okay, the allure is kind of gone. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it was all sleeping in like a big ass pile on the ground and shit.
That shit was nasty.
That's the part that threw me off. It's like, damn, like y'all just.
Well, they were sleeping next to the reactor, right? I guess it was warm. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. There was just some stuff in this movie that, again, I liked the setup. I liked the look of it. And it was just things done for entertainment purposes versus story purposes. And then so much of the information being tossed at me, like there was a lot of exposition.
Right.
You know?
Like as soon as they encountered the black dude, he told the whole entire story.
Yeah. And then, and then you're talking to when Dennis Quaid's talking to himself, but like he's trying to explain what Pandorum is. And I'm just like, man, like, could they have done this a different way? That's my question. Could they, you introduce this many characters into the story? Could someone else have could they have done that in a way where it wasn't just someone letting out all this info at once?
Yeah, I mean that's people's criticism every time you get an exposition dump. Every time that happens, like if this is why it's going on and this a long time ago, I mean, it always can be done a different way. Yeah. But
do you have a movie where you feel like it was done like the right way?
There's a lot of movies I've seen where they were kind of slick in delivering information in a way where it's not somebody giving a speech about the past, present, and possible future. They don't come to mind, but I know that I've seen movies where they explain it and you're like, oh shit.
So this is what that was about. Okay. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out, I'm saying that's what you mean. Like if they start to speak on what's been going on the whole time. They're like, oh shit.
Like you don't know until the one person says it. Like there's been movies I've seen where like you piece it together along the way, and then by the end, when the character finds out, you find out. And I always like it like that. But it doesn't really bother me when they want to get the shit out the way and like you don't know what's going on. Here's what's happening. Because I mean, when it comes from the one dude that's a survivor that's been around since the damn near the beginning, and what I mean, you see what he's doing and everything. So like it makes sense, like he would know. So for them to like deliver the information in that way, I'm like, I get it. What I mean, could it be done better? Of course, it could have been done better. I
think one of my favorite examples of exposition being done like in a way that kind of just it glosses over it, and the next thing you know, you get all the info is in I think the Bourne Supremacy. Because like in a lot of those movies, a lot of the information when you're finding out exposition happens between two characters having a conversation with each other. And so like when Pamela Landy comes to the fucking cafe and has breakfast with the dude, and they're talking about Jason Bourne and all this stuff, and you're just coming through as a conversation, but in that conversation you kind of learn where they at as far as hunting down Jason Bourne, what her purpose is there and stuff like that. I thought it was done good in there. When it's just someone, I gotta stand here and just say all this shit, it's just kind of like,
I can see why people don't have they have an issue with it. I mean, it does look a little lazy, in some aspects. You're like, we got to get the shit out there. So just go have him tell the whole story, and what I mean.
But, okay, so and here's one of the things, I wouldn't mind it as much if you didn't have the text crawl at the beginning. Because if you didn't have the text crawl at the beginning explaining it, now it just sounds like you just reiterating some shit I already read earlier.
Right.
Okay.
Just don't do the text crawl and let me find out about it like that. Maybe it'll sit a little better,
See, I don't have a problem with it because like I think they were, in my mind, they're setting up these multiple plot twists that are happening because there's the whole entire time they're going through this, they're finding people, you don't know what's going on, you're piecing together along the way, and they're setting up the fact that what I mean, the dude that we've known since the beginning of the movie, he's not who you think he is. There's certain things they did that was a little lazy, like when dude remembers about the commander's wife, and they kind of hold that off until the end of the movie. That was a little lazy, but I'm like, okay, whatever. But they're setting up that and they're setting up the fact that they're already on the planet, so you got all this happening. You find out that that initial broadcast that was done before it showed them in hypersleep. Dude was there the whole entire time, and this whole thing was in place instead. He lost his fucking mind and started experimenting. So I think that was a way to kind of get from point A to point B. So I didn't really mind it too much. Like, there's better ways to do it. But in a movie like this, it doesn't really diminish anything to me personally. Yeah.
I think my favorite reveal in the movie was, one that Dennis Quaid's character was having an argument with himself.
Himself. Yeah.
And then finding out that, you know, he was there the entire time. Like he was the guy that was on the ship when they got that call.
Right.
I thought both of those were done really well because those were kind of like aha moments that actually hit.
Yeah. Because I was suspecting, but I wasn't 100% sure. Because the whole entire time I'm like, is that dude even there? I didn't put two and two together that, you know, that was him. I thought he was just seeing somebody because I thought he was going through the effects of Pandorum. So I'm like, oh, he's losing his mind, possibly. But then the more that conversation happened and then he started to repeat what the other dude said, I'm like, oh yeah, that's him. That's
started
him.
using the same term. And it was crazy. With me, I love the imagery of them showing you like he is him.
Right. When
the numbers on the arm blended.
They merged.
They merged.
They
like,
did that in a real slick way. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, I liked like, you know, because when he first shows up and you're seeing him interact with Dennis Quaid, you're like, this guy is coming across real villainy for no reason. Like, he was just giving you that look,
and you know what I mean, like evil as fuck,
evil as shit, mad.
Yeah, so when I was watching that, I was like, either somebody gave him some bad direction or he's just going with it. But then when it got revealed that he's him, I was like, okay, that's the craziness coming out.
Yeah. See that type of stuff, like when you first see it, it's a little jarring, but then they make it make sense.
Yeah.
So I like that.
Okay. All right. Well, what's your final thoughts on Pandorum? Should those who are listening search this movie out and figure it out for themselves, or is this something you could pass over unless you catch it on Sci-fi?
I think if you like sci-fi movies, you should definitely check this out. Like, it's not a perfect movie, but it's entertaining enough to say you got to experience this. And then you also have to watch Elysium because like it's a two-part, which I didn't even know about.
Connection.
Yeah.
And Elysium is crazy. I loved Elysium.
Yeah.
Elysium is like, I feel like it had a way bigger budget and was able to execute things maybe the way this one wanted to and probably couldn't because of limitations, even though it still did a great job. But I would say 100% you should definitely watch Pandorum.
What about you, Joe? What you think?
I think if you like creepy movies that have anything to do with outer space, I think you should watch this. If you like Aliens, the franchise, I think you should watch this. And if you're a fan of the video game, like I said, Dead Space, I think you should watch this.
What was this movie? Because I know Elysium was directed by Neil Blomkamp, the same dude that did like
District 9,
and stuff like that. Like, was this one directed by him too, or
no? Okay. It was somebody else, but both of them were cool at a certain point, so that's why they wanted to do like a sequel or something like that, and then I believe they had a falling out or something like that. So this wasn't Neil.
Yeah. I think, as far as like lower budget sci-fi movies, like this one was entertaining. I'd say if it was on TV, I'd watch it because I'd be interested in see what's going on. There's enough plot twists that would keep my interest going through. Now, however you feel about those plot twists by the end, that's on you.
Right.
But by and large, I'd say, if it's on TV, go watch. I don't know if I'd go searching out for it. If you have other options to watch,
right,
you go watch it. I think, like I said, as far as like lower budget sci-fi movies, I think a better choice would be go watch The Creator because that was done.
We still haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, we
still want to watch that. We still want to watch that.
That shit is so.
Yeah, just watching the trailers, I'm like, oh my god, this looks incredible.
I'm actually mad. I don't know how we slipped by that one,
bro.
I just really don't know.
When you see that movie and you realize that movie was made on an $80 million budget, shot on a $3,000 camera that you could go buy yourself.
Yeah.
I was like, God damn, because the effects in that movie are so good. And
that alone tells you it's not about the budget, it's about the people that are making the movie. It's about the creative vision and the execution. Because I could even tell from the trailers, this movie looks incredible.
Yeah. And it's setting. They set that movie in, I think, Indonesia or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Because it's done by, I think, Gareth Evans, the same dude that made The Raid.
Yeah.
And so he does a lot of stuff in Indonesia and stuff like that. And like setting the movie in there, you save a lot of money because you don't need a lot of effects, but have this grand scale like backdrop that people aren't used to. So it adds that production value without actually having to do too much.
Okay.
So yeah. I mean, all right. So that's it for Pandorum. But as far as y'all go, like, what brought y'all into the movie space? Like, why did y'all lean into, what brought movies into your lives? Because clearly y'all both enjoy movies. That's what kind of brought y'all together almost. I don't know, but That's what brought me to y'all, is just trailer reactions and coming across you guys.
You know what's crazy? So before, and I'm going to use YouTube as an example. Before we started to do YouTube, we always tell people this during our streams sometimes. When me and him first met, we both shared a love for going to the movie theater, and we shared a love for movies. And what really helped us become great YouTubers as far as watching movies is the fact that the ride home from a movie we just watched used to be the most phenomenal thing in the car.
Yeah.
Like, this is before YouTube. We would have major conversations driving from Cherry Hill back to Philly about how much we just enjoyed what we watched, like full-blown conversations.
Yeah.
And the day finally came when we said, you know what? Let's record these conversations.
Yeah.
And show the world how much we love films and how much we really appreciate good movies.
Yeah.
Movies have always been a part of my life growing up. Like, you know what I mean? Just like I said, I was in a strict household where there's certain things I couldn't watch, but best believe, you know what I mean? Whenever we got that HBO or Cinemax free weekend or whatever like that, I had that channel on. I was watching everything. I was watching movies that I shouldn't have been watching, like The Thing and The Fly as a kid. And,
what else was you watching?
Like The Blob and like whatever I could watch, I watch. I'm not gonna, you know what I mean, go into particulars, but
had to go through that door that had the plastic things hanging.
Oh man,
we did. But anyway, like I grew up watching all these movies, and of course we didn't have like the premium channels on cable, but you know, my dad had a lot of VHS tapes, and where he worked, like people would record stuff for him, like movies, and he would bring them home, and I would just pop the tape and I'd watch everything. That's how I watched a lot of 80s movies and 90s movies that I would have never even known about. So I always loved film and loved movies, and it just grew as I grew, and movies continue to get better and better and better. And you know what I mean? I'm kind of fortunate now that I can kind of make our love of movies into a career, because we always watch these TV shows, movies, all of that, and to be able to share that passion with other people that are either like-minded or people that don't feel the same way, we can have a conversation about it, is really, really, really dope, because there are so many movies out there and there's so much to experience, and it's a great escape, and it's also just really dope as someone who wants to be a filmmaker. It's really great to see how other people execute certain things and the different methods and all of that, and it's just great to be able to see and witness it.
Yeah. So I mean, one of the initial ideas behind this podcast is, you know, like you guys said, that conversation driving home from a movie theater. Because me and my co-host Chris, you know, we used to have a thing where every Friday when we got out of work, we used to go to grab food, go to the movies, go to the club, and that conversation from the movies to the club, depending on what you saw, was either heated, fun, or just full of debates. But either way, it was one of the most like gratifying moments in that whole night. And so, you know, when me and him we didn't part ways, but we kind of like our lives went in different directions. He's in Alabama now, I'm in Florida. This was a way for us to, one, keep in contact with each other. Like, no matter what, at least once a week, we talk, we check in on each other, we see how each other's doing, make sure we're doing okay. And we get to, you know, share this love of movies again. What movie do you guys remember where y'all had like the most heated conversation? Because that's, to me, those are the funnest.
Batman v Superman.
Oh, okay.
Because I loved it. He hated it.
Okay, y'all gotta clue me in on this, because I have my opinions on Batman v Superman. So I'll tell y'all where I land after I hear what kind of point of views y'all got.
He appreciated the movie. Like, he respectfully had he brought, like, the conversation was proper. Like, he made his points. He said why he liked it. He showed me, he tried to show me what I might have missed. I'm looking like, no, I ain't missed nothing in that movie. I saw everything. I just don't like it. It was strange.
To me, like, Ben Affleck is still an incredible Batman, and the warehouse scene during Batman v Superman is still one of the best live action fights we've seen in Batman. Yeah. Like, as far as on a Arkham video game level, him versus so many people just destroying him, and I'm like, this is prime Batman right here. So there's so many elements of that movie where, like, it was incredible visually. Yeah, especially like them bringing Batman to life the way they did, and you know, of course, some of the aspects of Batman v Superman, like them actually clashing, were, they could have been better, but I still thought the buildup was crazy. Them tying, the movie into the previous movies and how Bruce Wayne was present during the fight between Superman and Zod. Like he was like on the ground level, just seeing what was going on, trying to help people out. I thought that was just genius.
Yeah.
And the way they tied things in and gave him a reason for not liking Superman and seeing him as a threat. Like I thought that was like, I bought it and I bought into it. And I love the whole entire movie up until the Doomsday thing, because I'm like, the whole Doomsday thing was a little sloppy, but it still gave us an incredible team up. Like that scene with him, Wonder Woman, and Superman just there, like with the music going and everything. I still think that was incredible.
So I will go on record in front of y'all and say Batman v Superman is one of the best comic book movies I've ever seen.
Okay.
It is one of my favorite comic book movies. And one, because, it, for a lot of people, they look at it, they're like, oh, that's not what Batman would be like. That's not how my Batman's supposed to be. And it's like, yeah, but you're looking at Batman as it through the lens of, this is prime Batman. He's in tip-top shape. Like, and this dude has been at this thing for years. No matter what he did, shit went the same. And he was getting to, like Alfred says, he says to Alfred, he goes, we are criminals, Alfred. Like, that's what we are. Like, he's kind of accepting that, like, what he does isn't by the book.
Right.
And now he's gotten to a point where, he sees a threat on the horizon that a lot of people don't see, and he's going to do everything he can. It's almost like if I can stop this threat, I can finally, atone for my parents' death. I can finally do that thing that I've been trying to do, which is save the city.
Right.
And then on the same token, you got Superman, who's still pretty new at it, still pretty new at doing what he's doing. And no matter what he does, there's detractors. There's people telling him that what you're doing is wrong. I personally believe this is about the most human Superman and Clark Kent we've ever seen on.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Because whenever you see Superman or Clark Kent in other movies, it's always like, I think he's playing what Kal-El's thought of a human would be. This one he feels like a kid that grew up in Kansas.
Right. He feels like he's always been here.
Yeah, he's had bullies. He's had to deal with this stuff his whole life. Like, he feels human. Whereas other ones, he might feel like an alien in human skin. So yeah, I get into conversations about that movie all the time. Yeah,
I've seen both the theatrical version, and then when he did the
Extended.
I forgot what the extended version was called. When he did that, I watched the hell out of that like 3 times.
The Ultimate Edition.
Yeah, Ultimate Edition. Yeah. I've experienced that movie a lot, and I still enjoy it.
What do you guys remember? What movie made y'all fall in love with movies? For me, and this is why I'm, when y'all started talking about The Crow, and I almost had to give that.
Sorry.
No. So The Crow, the original Crow.
It was great. Like,
the original Crow was a movie that was the first R-rated movie I kind of swindled my dad into renting. So when I was probably like 7, 8 years old, like, we rented it, and when that scene where Bai Ling is taking a shower, my dad was like, "What you make me rent?" I was like, yeah, "Just give it a chance."
That scene, I was like,
yeah. But that was one of those movies where, like, I liken it to, y'all ever heard Deliverance by Bubba Sparks and Justin Timberland? It's one of those moments where I felt like movies were bigger than just what I was seeing on TV. In a sense that with Deliverance, when I heard that beat, I was like, oh, rap and hip hop isn't just drums and this. Like, you can make it with anything. Right. And so, it was like, that the setting that they put Eric Draven in, just that whole gothic feel to it.
It was so dark. It was so gritty.
So good. So good. That's the first time you ever saw a comic book hero light their symbol on fire, and they started doing that in every movie.
This was me.
Yeah. What about y'all? Do y'all remember a movie where you were like, okay, like, I think movies are my thing?
I think with me, it's a 3-way tie between Terminator 1, Neverending Story, and The Princess Bride. And that's why The Princess Bride is my favorite movie of all time, because it was a movie I saw when I was a kid, and it took me to this whole fantasy world, and I ended up watching that movie every single week. I had it on VHS, tape popped, and everything.
Yeah.
Like, I watched it every single week. Those three movies they were in the rotation weekly for me, and they made me want to experience more like that, and things that were different, because, you know, Terminator's not like those movies at all. It's completely different. It's dark, it's scary. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I mean, those are three very like different stories.
Right.
Yeah, right. Category,
Yeah. How about you, Joe?
For me, it's the same thing. The only reason why I want to name multiple movies is because I was the only child growing up. So I actually fell in love with movies. The movies that made me want to actually get into acting further down the line, and what made me actually love movies in general, Mission Impossible 2, Gladiator, and I'm going to put them together. Remember the Titans and Titanic. Okay. Because I was really young watching these films. And what really put me into a state of mind where I say, yo, I love watching movies, is the fact that these movies had the most amazing soundtracks.
Yeah.
That made you really get involved into what you're watching. The music is playing and you're watching things on screen.
Yeah.
So it shows you like movies are just more than things on screen. There's so much behind what you're watching, because I feel like directors are allowing you to see how they feel.
Yeah.
So movies, watching those films is what made me say, I am a full-blown movie lover.
Yeah.
I think when a movie makes you cry for the first time, and that was Never-Ending Story for me.
Yeah.
That it kind of unlocks something in your mind, and you start to realize that this is more than something you're just watching on the screen. It makes you feel emotions. It takes you into a place, and you're locked in, and you feel what they want you to feel. It's like you can see the manipulation, like they're manipulating your emotions, and they're doing a great job of it. And you see it, and you love it. Like, if this movie can make me feel this way, like, this is way more than just something random I'm watching on television. Like, this is something special. So
have you guys ever seen A Silent Voice?
I don't think so, no.
It's an anime. If you guys get a chance, watch it. We covered it a long time ago on the pod, and then I forgot that we didn't even put the episode out, so I just put it out like 2 weeks ago. But it's literally one of the most heartfelt, tough, very emotional movies. It's crazy.
A Silent Voice.
A Silent Voice. It's about a girl who's deaf, who's in school, in high school, and she's getting bullied by a bunch of people, and like this one kid is the main bully. And then after high school, that bully becomes the one getting bullied, and then he meets the girl again, and she's kind of like, she kind of doesn't hold anything against him. They're trying to like refigure out like how do they operate in life, going through the kind of trauma they've been through. It's crazy. I've never it's one of the few movies where I watch it, I was like, it made me fucking rethink life and just like where my place is in the world. It's
right.
Crazy.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, all right. Well, I mean, that's the latest episode of Sarat and Chris's Movie Therapy Podcast. Once again, it is your boy Sarat, aka Makazi. Drew, Joe, let everybody know where they can find y'all.
All right, you can find us multiple places. Of course, YouTube is youtube.com/Struggle Nation. Twitch.tv/ECOMOG. You'll find us on Twitter, Instagram, those same handles, ECOMOG. And what about you?
Same places. My Instagram is N2_improv. Weird name. So that's where you'll find me here. And you'll find me also on the ECOMOG page. You'll see me tagged and all that.
Yeah.
But we're here, we're around, and he does a lot of gaming. He's bringing me back into the gaming world as well. So you'll find both of us on Twitch a lot more.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate y'all for jumping on the pod. Once again, y'all family. Every time I'm back up in Philly, I love, hanging out with y'all. We got to go do some karaoke and actually get on stage.
I was waiting for you to say it. I was waiting for you to say it.
I'm there. I'm ready.
Cool. Don't matter what song it is either.
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, don't you put whatever. Put game. You want some New Kids on the Block? I know songs that
do the dance and all that.
Yeah. All right. Well, again, that's the latest episode of Srot and Chris's Movie Therapy Podcast. Check us out next week. Hopefully, Chris will be back, or he might still be MIA, and I might have another guest host. But until then, catch y'all later.
I'm a warrior.